If you're watching this video and you've had an awful day, right? Just a very stressed out, problematic day, problem-filled day that you're just dying to get out of and you're just looking to get away, do this first. Lean back and relax, right? Stop leaning forward into resistance. Welcome to A Few Minutes with Marvin. I inspire those who aspire to make positive changes in their lives. And today, first I want you to just de-stress, right? Decompress. Take a deep breath. Let it all out. Because we're going to dive a little bit deep here, and not too deep, but it's a topic that I'm going down a little bit and exploring more myself. So I thought it was relevant to speak about today. And what I'm really referring to is how to stop those voices in your head, right? Because most of the stress you're feeling now, and just before I told you to lean back and relax, they're all in your head. I know they're presenting themselves as physical manifestations of some sort, some issue, some problem, some worry, some fear, relationship issue. It's manifesting differently for everybody. But right now that stress is still there because you're allowing it to be there. And this week I really got into, I wanted to start a new book. So I looked, synchronistically, some of these videos came in and they were really pointed me in the right direction. And that direction was to Michael Singer. If you're not familiar with Michael Singer, he wrote The Untethered Soul and a whole bunch of other books. And he talks about detaching, right, from the different aspects of you. And that's what this journey is all about. And as we're doing the work, as we all are doing it, whether you're, identifying childhood traumas, victimhood mentality, lack mentality, trying to figure out the law of attraction, anything that you're working on is going to be sabotaged by this one thing: the voices in your head. Now, where do these come from? And I'm in the middle of listening to The Untethered Soul, so I'm by no means an expert in it, but right off the bat, he helps you identify some things and gives you some tools that you need to use to get yourself out of it, right? Because it's only you that keeps you spiraled in going down, Stressville, Stressville Street, to be exact. And how does that occur? Well, you have a problem, right? And you're experiencing this. And instead of just experiencing it for yourself and being with it and allowing it to be there without labeling it good or bad, we go, hell no. We get angry, we get sad, we get upset, or we get confrontational, we start judging ourselves, right? That happens. And what's the first thing we do? Text, Facebook somebody, call somebody. Do you what happened to me? I can't believe it. You're the victim. Now you're the victim who needs somebody else to be a victim with you, right? And it's not about what they think. It's you. You think you need to get this out of your head and you need to voice it and you need to be upset about it. And now you've attached it to you. And now you've attached it to somebody else. Because after you rant and rave and do whatever you have to, now this person's going to go away thinking, man, my friend needs help. And they're going to start thinking about you and your problem, right? Now you created another problem for somebody else to deal with. And it was your experience to begin with. And it's hard to admit these things. It's hard to look at it from a different perspective. But as Michael says, especially with those voices in your head, you have to separate yourself and say, who are you to that voice? Right? And wait for an answer. It's not going to answer, it's going to go into a different topic. it's going to change the topic on you. Some random thing is going to pop into your head next. And then if you ignore that or you question that, some other random thing is going to pop into your head. And you're like, what the hell is going on? Wait, I was just upset about this thing. And all of a sudden I remember I have to feed my dog. What? And then after that, it's like, oh, remember that YouTube video that has no relevance to anything that's going on? I think you can, appreciate that this happens, right? Especially when you're in stress. The most random things pop into your head. Or if you're trying to be quiet or you're trying to meditate, bam, random. I'm just so random. A song will just pop out of nowhere, followed by, some commercial you remember, right? Or something that happened, to you from 1,000 years ago, or some silly joke you heard, right? Michael Singer, in his book, Untethered Soul, covers this pretty well, especially in the first few chapters, where you have to become the witness and the observer. You have to realize that those voices in your head are not you. And you may say, wait a minute, I'm hearing them, I'm listening to them. It's gotta be me. Who else is it gonna be? It's your parents, it's your school teacher, it's your boss, it's your boyfriend or girlfriend, it's your child. It's all those needs that they've had that you've witnessed throughout your entire life, from childbirth to however old you are now, that are there. They're those little voices, those little clips, right? Meant to keep you suppressed, under control, right? Fear-based. And these are just aspects, right? Call it ego, call it, your shadow side, call it your divine side, whatever. It doesn't have to be good or bad. But those voices and stuff need to stop, right? And sometimes you intend to say, stop the voices, stop the voices. This is what drives you insane, right? Because the more you feed it, the more it's going to keep going, right? It's got you going. It wants to stay in control of your emotions. So the way to stop that is to become the witness to it. So now, when these things come into your mind, ask yourself, who are you? You're not me, right? You have to separate yourself from it. Maybe it's an aspect of you. It was in your past. It was what your parents said. It's what you remember from school. It's not you now. It's not you anymore, and it never was you. You need to separate yourself from that aspect every time. This will drive you nuts at first. Trust me, I've been doing it for the last day or so. And you'll when you take yourself out of it, you'll realize that, holy smoke, I think a lot, but I'm not thinking. It's just blather. It's just nonsense, right? It's distractions. When you see that very clearly, that's when you can put a stop to it. And every time it comes in, who are you? I don't know who you are. And another thing he goes into is recognizing who you are. You have to ask yourself, who am I? If you're not living the life that you want to live, whose life are you living? Why aren't you living your life? What does that life look like for you? Who am I? These are powerful things that we all need to learn on our spiritual path. And even if we're not spiritual, just being aware that those aspects that are within us, we need to shed them. All those little thoughts. I mean, it doesn't matter. Did I leave the light on in the living room? Why did I say that? Or am I wrong? Right? Or, man, look at her. She's ugly. Those little things pop in, right? Or look at that video on TikTok where the guy fell on his face, flat on his face, and busted his nose. And I'm laughing about it. Yikes. What aspect is that? Trust me, I'm speaking from experience. I used to love those jackass movies and and ridiculousness, that stuff made me giggle. Now I don't find it so funny. Not because I'm attaching anything to it, but it's nonsensical, distractionary things that keep us in low vibrations. Laughing at somebody else's injury. Yeah, it just doesn't feel good to me anymore. I'm not saying you shouldn't watch those things, but it's not for me anymore, and I was heavy into them. But I see them in a different light now. And even though I'm on that path, there's still all these voices in my head too. Where just today alone, I was like, who is that? Who is that? Who am I? You know? And this is not for beginners, because you have to release a lot of other things before you can sit down and ask yourself who you are, and ask every single voice that's an aspect of you, who are you? With the intention of healing it and releasing it, right? So it doesn't control you anymore. Very powerful. I'm not getting paid to endorse Michael Singer, but if you're at a point in your spiritual journey where you've done a lot of work and you're just looking for more growth, this may be the opportunity for you to get that knowledge, right? Because again, we don't see it. We have to step out of ourselves to see it sometimes. We have to witness our thoughts. And that's the point of this video. Are you ready to witness your thoughts without labeling them, without saying, oh man, I did that, or am I nuts for saying that? Is my nuts for thinking that? Right? Because some of the things that come into our head sometimes, like, what the hell? You know? But just recognize, that's not you. It's not you. So who is it? And if it's not you, it doesn't belong in here. Right? You need to recognize that and be aware of it. Because once you start bringing awareness to these things that aren't you, that you're not allowing to be in you anymore, to be your thoughts anymore, to just take you off into la la land and these visions and these dreams, daydreams, they stop. So who is the real you? From my perspective, we're everything and we're nothing, right? So we got to be somewhere in the middle. And you say, well, how can I stop these thoughts when I'm with somebody? Well, if these thoughts are popping in when somebody else is talking to you, that's a different aspect of you that doesn't either respect yourself or respect that other person, right? Who's not giving that person your full attention. So it's even more important for you to become aware in those moments. Why am I thinking about where I'm going tomorrow when this person is talking to me? You need to heal that and in that moment. And first ask that thought, who are you? Catch it in the act. Now it's like, oh shit, I don't know where to hide. And then give your attention to that person. And if the conversation's not going anywhere, or you're just not, you don't want to be there in that moment, you're not going to give that person your full attention, then you need to find a way to get out of the situation, right? Because that's not doing you any good to sit there and listen to somebody who's bringing you down, to a lower vibration that you don't want to be a part of. You need to excuse yourself in the moment, some way, somehow. Do it with love, do it with compassion, but it's time for you to set boundaries when those things happen, because those are all blocks. So the path to really growing even more and evolving more on your spiritual path is to recognize who you're not, right? And release those aspects. And that takes a lot of self-awareness. And these things happen a lot in meditation. It doesn't mean you're not meditating. And it doesn't mean that meditating is a cure for everything. Meditating is nice. It brings you into stillness. Stillness is the cure for everything, from my perspective. How do we get there? We got to cancel out those voices in our head that aren't ours by identifying them and catching them in the act every time. This may sound simple, but it's a lot harder than you'll ever imagine. He has a lot of great examples in the book, The Untethered Soul. And one of them is when a movie theater, right? You're in a movie theater and there's probably 100 other people in that movie theater with you. But if that movie is captivating the way it's supposed to, then you lose all sense of where you are. You have no idea somebody's in the seat next to you chomping down on popcorn, right? Or you may hear somebody in the background, but they may be louder than you think because you're so engrossed in this movie. Your thoughts take you down that path too. Sometimes you're stressed out and all of a sudden you're just thinking about where you would be instead of here. Now you're ignoring the problem, and you're daydreaming, which again, there's nothing wrong with it, but notice yourself. When you start daydreaming the next time, watch yourself watching the daydream and see how it unfolds and go, wait a minute, that's not actually what I want to begin with, right? That's another aspect of you just taking control of the situation and saying, let's not fix that issue. I want to keep you under wraps. I want to keep you suppressed. I want to keep your vibrations low. And this may all sound a little odd, but the more work you do on your spiritual path, you're going to start recognizing that simplicity and just stillness, which there are a lot of people out there that talk about this stuff. Eckhart Tolle is probably the first one that comes to mind. But he's right, and the yogis and the gurus that all practice this stillness, right? It's not about meditation. It's about stillness. And how do you reach that stillness? Is by identifying those things that are trying to keep you out of stillness and identifying them as not you, right? Don't worry about who you are yet, because as you let go of everything that's not you, then you comes up to the surface, and then you have to embrace it, right? It's an ever-evolving life that we're living, right? We have to recognize the steps and go further. Now, you can stay in your comfort zone, and if that's the way you want to live out the rest of your life, that's great. Make sure your soul's okay with that. It may tell you otherwise, but if you decide, free will, I'm good here, I don't want to grow anymore, great, good for you. Good for you. That's awareness too. And don't worry about whether you're going to reincarnate and have to do it all over again, right? Because that would become a block. If you're truly, truly, truly happy, simplicity wins. You don't have to overcomplicate anything. And if going down a spiritual path is complicating your life, take a step back, become the witness to it, the observer. Let it go on for a little bit. And if you're ready to come back to it. If you're not, that's okay. Lean back. Lean back and relax. Don't lean forward into resistance, because if you're doing something that you don't want to do, you're leaning into that resistance, and it's just causing all kinds of stress. Medical, physical, emotional, and mental stress. So in every situation, and when that voice is in your head, instead of giving into it and leaning into the resistance, like, who is this voice? No, lean back. Relax, take a breath, and ask, who are you? And the rest will unfold. You have to allow it to unfold as it's meant to. So I hope this message resonates with you. It resonated with me, and I'm honored to share it with you because I'm inspired to share it with you. And I'm not just putting it out there. I'm going to continue to do the work to ask every aspect, who are you? And shift it in every now moment. And I encourage you to do the same. So take back control of your life. Be the observer and the witness more than the participant. And have an amazing day. So I truly hope you enjoyed the contents of this video. But seriously, if you are in a position now where you're doing so much work and there's things still blocking you, and you're becoming a little bit aware of it, but you don't know where it's coming from or what help to seek to get it, I can help you. I'm a spiritual transformation coach, and as you can tell, I do all the work for myself. So I do have a vast vast library of things that I can pull from to help you see your situation more clearly. Obviously, everybody's situation is different, and I can maybe help you get to your next level, right? Just like I'm seeking help for myself, and I just hired somebody to get me to my next level. So if you're ready to go to the next level and really ready to do some more work, but some more deeper work, give me a shout. Here's a link to my website. Let's have a 30-minute decompression session and just see where you are and see if I'm the right fit for you. And if your situation is the right fit for my experience. But I'd love to help either way. And I can probably refer you to somebody else. Be my honor to do so. And if you like the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. It'd do so much, good for other people that can now hear it if YouTube is putting me on, the things to watch next list or whatever, recommended list. So I appreciate whatever help you can give me in that because it's going to help somebody else. So consider that being of service. So thank you for being of service, and thank you for spending a few minutes with me. Have a blessed day.